the DNVR Avalanche. Oh God, what is that?
We're good.
Hello, test.
I don't know what that was.
Bueller.
I think it's better now. Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code DNVR when you sign up for a new account to get amazing odds boosts every single day. We're back again. This time, the usual three of us, joined by Jesse Montano, back from Tampa Bay to give us his angle on the Cup Finals and the entire series, I imagine, since you were in the building for all of it, Jesse.
Yeah, man. I was telling you guys before we hit go live, I've been dying to talk about this whole playoff run with you guys. You know, the first round I was in the studio for a couple of those shows, but after that it's just been running around and AJ having to help me out after game twos because I had flights at 5 a.m. the next day and you know, with the writing and stuff. So no, it's been crazy, and I really haven't had many opportunities to sit, because every time we've had like a day in between games, I'm on a plane when you guys are doing the show and all that stuff. So no, it's been an exhausting ride, but I think all of us would agree none of us would trade it for about anything. And so no, I'm super happy to be back with you guys, and like back with you guys on the show today to talk about the final and all that stuff, but also just back on the show for the summer, which we only get like 6 weeks of. So
yeah, it's going to be fast.
Which honestly, I will take the amount of days in the media school where AJ and I were sitting there like, okay, we've been doing this off season for 2 months and we have 7 weeks to go and we've talked about everything. It is nice. So we kind of have to like rush through summer a little bit here. It's all part of the fun.
Full show out of the circumference of Mikko Rantanen's head.
I think if we break his nose down for the first segment and then nose to eyes second segment for we can do it. We can stretch it. Yeah. Not having to do that this year will be a ton of fun. But no, I'm dying to talk about all this with you guys. And I actually was just going through responding to some DMs. Before we start all of this, I want to say thank you and congratulations to the three of you guys. Thank you for helping me hold it down on all this stuff while I'm running around and doing all kinds of things. You guys made it possible for me to do what I was able to do. And then congratulations to all of us, because what an insane ride this has been, even just this season, let alone the last several years. This season was a grind, man. Like, you know, we were talking about it and you forget all those playoff games, all these playoff rounds. They're so intense. There's so much focus, you know, everything is hyper focused that like there was a couple times when, you know, like walking back to the hotel after games and stuff, I'd be thinking of, geez, some of those road game pods that we were doing, you know, Wednesday at Buffalo. And it's just like there's 3 people in the bar, the game's a blowout. And it's just like, get me home. Like, let's finish this up and get home. So like, it's a grind. It's a grind for everybody. Especially when you go 2 months past the regular season. So thank you guys and congrats.
Should be saying thank you. You're the one who had to go out on the road all these times and do all the travel. So you're doing the hard work.
We gave you plenty of love on the post game pod the other day. If you managed to listen to it.
I did. I need to go back through and re-listen to it because my brain was like 30% on when I listened to it. And that may be a little generous, but was hurting Monday morning when I was trying to listen to it, like at the airport, just shotgunning chicken tenders, trying to get as much grease into my stomach as possible.
That's what I was doing during the third period.
Yeah. Can confirm.
Just trying to soak up everything that was in there. But yeah, so I'll let you tell us where we're going to start, but I'm looking forward to talking about all this.
No, I mean, I think we can start with you. You're about to tell us what it was like to be there with the Stanley Cup getting awarded.
So do we want to start when the clock hit 0?
Sure.
Okay.
Wherever you want to start. This is your story.
Well, because what I actually love is let's go all the way back to game 1 of this round then.
Okay, go for it.
Just kind of recap this a bit.
Yeah.
Man, this was it was all so from the time that Arturi Lehkonen scored in overtime in Edmonton. Like, this has just been a surreal experience. And I know I've had that conversation with AJ on the phone a couple times in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That even as everything was happening, it just, none of it felt like it was actually happening. And no, this won't be a 2-hour pod. I'm just kind of wanting to go through this, but, like, seriously, I remember watching that Lehkonen goal in Edmonton, and it was like in slow motion.
Yeah,
From the time he tipped it to when he recollected it, and seeing Mike Smith stretch out, and it's like, oh God, he's not gonna. From that moment to literally even still right now, it all just feels like a blur, and none of it feels like it actually happened.
That moment was yesterday and a year ago at the same time.
Right. Well, dude, the Nashville series, like, the fact that was part of this playoff run is just like, are you kidding me? That felt. I've aged 3 years since then. And so, going to media day and seeing all the banners and seeing the Avs logo next to the Stanley Cup Final, it's all been so awesome to see up close and just crazy to experience. And then, they come out and they've got the patches on the jersey. It was just all such a crazy experience. But, man, it was really interesting. And I think we've talked about this on a pod, getting to see this team up close before and after games as they went through this final. They had some really, really good, talented teams the last 2 years. I mean, last year, President's Trophy, one of the most kind of dominant. Now, COVID shortened season, limited teams that you're playing and all that stuff. But I mean, they just blew teams out last year. And now, after seeing this team up close go through this 6-game war against the Tampa Bay Lightning, last year's team loses in 4 games to this year's team. Like, that to me was.
Which version of Philip Grubauer is in that? Is it Game 2 against Vegas, or is it Game 6 against Vegas? Because if it's Game 6 against Vegas, the game's over in a period.
Yeah,
if it's Game 2 against Vegas, maybe.
Well, it's just it was really remarkable, man, to see.
What?
Oh,
sorry.
No, you're good. Just the way that they handled themselves, through what was a really up and down, really hard fought series. I'd love to get your guys' opinion. I thought those were 6 phenomenal games.
I mean, there's 2 blowouts that they trade where you're just kind of, depending on which side you're on, you're like, okay.
Mm-hmm. But even that Game 3, the 6-2, I felt like 6-2 wasn't
not
quite indicative of how the game played out.
For sure.
No, the 7-0 was a true blue, humdrum shit kicking. That was an embarrassment. The 6-2 should have been more competitive, but it just wasn't.
Yeah,
it's fine.
And so just seeing them and the way they responded, after they lose 6-2. It was one of my favorite quotes of the series. Nathan McKinnon goes, "This is fun. We're having fun. This is the Stanley Cup Final, and we're playing the 2-time defending champ. You're not going to win every night. It's going to be tough. We're out here enjoying ourselves." And I don't think last year's team would have had that type of response after losing 6-2 in a game like that. And I think it was, you hear the cliche of stay even keel, don't get too high, don't get too low. And I just felt like this team embodied that more than any group I've ever seen. And I put a tweet out yesterday or 2 days ago. I don't know. I have no idea what day, week, or month it is. And I don't know. A lot of people disagree with me, and some of you may even disagree with me. We can talk about it. But I put out that I thought Jared Bednar coached circles around John Cooper. And biggest reason I said that was because I thought the Avs kept such a narrow focus for all 6 games. And I really did feel like the Lightning lost. I thought they came off the rails a little bit. I thought they came unglued at times. And there were times in this series where, from where I was sitting, the Avs looked like the team that had multiple years of experience and that Tampa was trying to figure out, and kind of find their bearings at times. And I thought a lot of that was led by Bednar and the way that he approached things and the way that he kept the team focused. I'm not taking anything away from the Lightning. That's an incredible team up close, but I don't remember the last time I saw, from game 4 on, every time the puck went in the net for the Avs, the first thing the Lightning did was make a beeline to the refs. And I had never seen that before, especially from a team that had as much experience as they did. It's like, that games are called looser this time of year. They're going to let you get away with more. They're not going to call as much of that kind of ticky-tack stuff. And it was just surprising. Like, the fact that Pat Maroon and Corey Perry are Pat Maroon and Corey Perry, holy smokes. Those guys are standing up, banging their stick on the boards on the bench every 45 seconds. It's like, you guys play within the margins more than anybody else on the ice, yet you want every call going your way. And it was just really interesting.
I think the one that really, really bothered me, of that, because there was so much of it at the end, but Ryan McDonough boarding.
Yes, dude.
Yeah.
Blatantly boarding, and then Stamkos fires the puck at the official. I lost my shit, because I was like, I literally got kicked out of a game when I was 14 because I did that on accident.
Yep.
Because I got mad and I fired the puck out of the net, and it hit and I didn't see him there, and it hit the ref's skate, and they threw me out of the game. Because you don't do that. You don't treat the refs that way. You show them, and it's one thing to complain about calls and stuff, but that's like imagine a football player,
right,
just firing the ball at a referee after the play is dead because he's mad about the call that they made.
Who was it earlier this year?
He throws the flag and he's like, "Oh yeah, we've got holding on that guy," and then a dude, while that's happening, the dude fires the ball at him.
Yeah,
right. It was insane, and I'm like, that's your captain,
right?
Your captain is melting down right now.
In the NHL, they did I think Dops looked into something for abuse of an official, or was that the AHL?
Well, McKinnon had his whole abuse of an official run in the Boston game, where he hit the official with his stick.
Yep.
And everybody determined that he did it accidentally.
Right. But I want to say there was one where it was a fight and an errant punch ended up landing on an official. Was it in the AHL, Megan? You looked like you were
familiar,
scanning the archive. Yeah.
In the AHL, but I can't place it to any one team.
Yeah.
So it might not have been
this year
in any division that I'm familiar with. If it did happen.
Right.
Sidetracking us a little bit, but it's funny how you go down the leagues and in the ECHL every couple of years there's a game where criminal charges get filed because shit gets so out of hand.
Even Kucherov throwing his gloves at the equipment trainer after the broken stick.
Yeah.
It's pretty egregious.
At the NHL level, you don't see stuff like that.
Yeah.
Not from a skilled player like that. Not that it makes a difference, but that's someone you turn to for a little bit more leadership.
Well, and there's still 11 seconds left on the clock when that's happening.
Yeah.
By no means was the game done at that point. It was puck was in their corner. There's less than 10 seconds. It's that'd have to be a hell of a push, but there was just some of that stuff there in that game 6. Belmar and Josh Manson get kind of tangled up. Josh Manson, one hand in the air, one hand on the stick, and Belmar just kind of gets tangled up in the stick and goes down. And the whole team loses their mind. It's like, this is game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final.
and then fucking flops it and tries to act like he got shot or some shit. You're like,
the classic chicken wing thing.
yeah, you're like, bro, you're either each getting a penalty or they're letting that go, and because this is the game that it is, they're letting that go.
Right. And each team had one power play. I thought both were appropriate, and that was it. It was even up. Both teams got their shot on the man advantage. Something like that. Honestly, the one with Belmar, I really don't even know if that's a penalty like during the regular season.
It's not even worth acknowledging, like straight up.
Right. And McDonough loses his mind. They're all slamming their sticks. Pat Maroon's going insane.
Pat Maroon slashes Josh Manson, and the only reason he doesn't get more of them is because Josh Manson used his own stick to defend himself. And that was and you're like, dude, like these incidents here, they go to show, like, this was the team that it was all composure, it was all focus, it was all, and then they just melted down, man, emotionally. They got bopped and they had no response. Well, and every goal is contentious, and the referees play right into it. Oh, okay, well, we'll go take a look at it, John. Hey, Coop, calm down. Stop yelling at me. We'll go look at it. And it's like, bro.
Well, EJ, it was after the Lehkonen goal because the refs like got together, and EJ went over to him, and he was fired up, and obviously I don't know what exactly he was saying, but I imagine it was something along the lines of what you're just saying, like, why can we not score a goal without you guys having to get together to confer? Like, what's going on here? Like, what are we doing? And it was really interesting to watch. And I thought a lot of that was led by John Cooper. I actually thought it was really cool being able to see John Cooper up close, right? A lot of people talk about him as being one of, if not the best coach in the NHL. He's very well spoken. I didn't realize that he was a practicing lawyer for 5 years. So now knowing that when you listen to what he says, you can tell it's all very lawyered up. But I was really impressed by him early on with composure and the way that he spoke and all that stuff. After game 4, I thought I really think he kind of overplayed his hand. I think he kind of ended up going out there and he made himself look kind of silly. AJ, you and I talked on the phone, I think that night, or the next day, and you and I were both saying, like, you know what? I actually hope he comes out tomorrow with something way more egregious and like this huge conspiracy where the Avs got away with something. Because what he said and the way he acted, if that is what you're talking about, this too many men, where was it? Sure. By the written rule, sure. But both teams were making changes like that all series long. Sitting in my seat during game 1, I turned to the person on my left. I said, holy smokes, do the Lightning cheat on their changes? Game 1.
On that literal play, it didn't happen this way, but if Kuemper had just left that for Byram, Stamkos got a 50-foot advantage on the forecheck on that play.
Yeah.
Right. And actually, there was a play in game 6. I'd be lying if I said I remember when exactly it was, but it was, again, the Avs were coming in, and it was what you just said, Rudo, where they do the old roller hockey change. One guy's coming in, and he's not even across the red line, and some guy jumps out the far door. Yep, so, yeah. I mean, you literally get, like a 50, 60-foot swing. And we were sitting next to some Avs staff in the press box, and, dude, they went ballistic. Because, look, like, you're going to make a sideshow about too many men. Cool. You better not cheat that fucking change. Sorry. You better not cheat that change at all then.
I will also point out this is the same Tampa Bay Lightning team that won an overtime game by doing exactly that this year. Because in the 3-on-3, they had a guy hop off at one end and Kucherov hopped off the far end. He hopped off the far end, and they get that 30-foot advantage, and they won a game cheating that change.
Yeah.
And so to all of a sudden hear them, and then the complaints about too many men when Landeskog's skate blade broke, and they
Oh
were
my
pushing
God.
him, and they were pushing him over there, and it was like, do you guys really just not know the rules, or?
Well, and AJ, I thought you were going to take it a step further. Like, this was another part of the reason why, and you could tell John Cooper, he didn't necessarily walk it back the next day, but you could tell he tried to like, oh, well, I was emotional and da-da-da-da-da. Like, honestly, what I thought he should have done if he was that upset after game 4, he should have gotten up there and be like, you know what, guys, I was just looking at some film. There's some stuff I'm going to want to talk to you guys about, but I'm just not really in the headspace to do that. I'll take your questions tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. And he should have walked off. The fact that he literally got halfway through the sentence and then stopped himself short of saying it was taken from us. It's like, no, dude, they cheated the change a little bit. Both teams did it 50 times over the course of the game. It's unfortunate for you that one, and that it ended up in the back of your net, but everyone was trying to get an advantage all game long.
Such an egregious change that as soon as that goal got scored, he turned around and walked off.
Right.
And then when he got back to the coach's room, he looked at it and he was like, "You cheated that a little bit."
Well, and
then
so
went into the coach presser immediately after, got big mad, threw his little bitch fit, and left.
Well, and so where I thought you were going to go with this was last year against your boys in the Eastern Conference Final.
Yeah, we talked about it on the post game.
Yeah,
I remember.
Well, and like, it's just one of those things where it's like, man, to sit here and get all uppity like that.
Yeah.
When your team has benefited from something, in my opinion, even more egregious that the Islander bench did catch in real time.
Yeah.
Well,
the guy that hopped off in the middle. He was only open in the middle of the zone because he cheated the change.
Yep. Right.
It literally.
It's 1-to-1 the cheats.
Right.
Josh, if you're crazy enough to get a tattoo of one of the DNVR designs, go off, bud. You have go nuts.
There have been a few of them in history already, so do your thing, homie. We're good with all of it.
Also brought to you by Sexy Pizza. You can go get 15% off now with code DNVR at sexy.pizza. Go check them out online or go to one of their locations here in Denver. Absolutely delicious stuff. You can't go wrong with the simple pepperoni. They also have the jalapeno cream cheese, which weirdly has this like diehard following of people that absolutely love that pizza.
Dude,
I don't get it, but
it was so weird. People came upstairs and were like, "This is the greatest pizza alive."
Yeah, seriously.
What?
It's super strange, but they have it. If you want it, you can check out some of their other philanthropies as well, where some of the money spent goes to projects around Colorado. So definitely go check that out. Also brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. You can use code DNVR over with DraftKings right now to get something new, because I can't use the Cup Finals read anymore. All right. We're into UFC 276 for the new people. Right now, you can bet $5 on any fighter to win at UFC 276 and get $100 in free bets. Don't even have to bet the correct fighter. Fighter loses, you still get $100. So jump on it right now. You can go in on some UFC, people punching each other. It's not quite hockey, but maybe it's like ECHL hockey. We were talking about that a little bit earlier. Go check it out. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Be sure to use that DNVR promo code. Again, bet $5 on any UFC 276 fighter to win and get $100 in free bets with the DNVR code. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. Other restrictions, terms, and conditions apply. DraftKings is the official sports betting partner of the UFC. And of course, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. All right. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Jesse, I know you had some video content.
Yeah, I was going to say. So the biggest reason I wanted to move backwards, so I was just killing time till Yaya could get all that stuff cleared up. Last thing on the offside thing, and then obviously when you get the different angle, you see they had 7 guys on the ice. Thought he overplayed his hand and ended up having to walk all that back. Let's get to game 6. So, man, the clock hits 0. All guys start pouring off the ice, pouring off the bench. Was having to keep it together, was staying very composed and all that stuff, but some tears made their way out for sure. I mean, and look, dude, like you look around the press box and there are people that are national writers that have tears in their eyes. It's a special moment. I remember I got choked up a few years ago watching Ovechkin lift the cup. It's just people don't fully understand the sacrifice that these guys put themselves through to reach this and what they put their lives and their bodies and all that stuff through. So being unbelievably lucky to get to go down on the ice and be amongst all these guys as it's happening. My favorite part about it was none of them were shy about cutting off an interview to go celebrate with their family. All of them like, hey, really sorry, got to go. And some they'd circle back around and things like that. But just being able to see the way that they were celebrating, not only was it joy, it was relief. Just everybody out there was getting their pictures with the cup and having their parents lift the cup. All the Abs fans that were up in the 300s just to get in the building were all able to make their way down to the glass. So watching them all go out onto the ice and the moment that I really locked my eyes onto was the McKinnon EJ embrace out by the blue line. That was where
that was a full tackle. That was not an embrace.
Yeah. That was where a lot of my focus went after the game. I figured it was EJ. I was trying to figure out who he was with, and Sam Girard was down on the ice in full gear and picking up family members and all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, you can tell he's not feeling any of that pain right now. But to get to see them bring the Conn Smythe out, that was my favorite one right there. UC Parkala's family, the Avs goaltending coach, who I think started to really get some love this year from some of the media. Because it's like, all right, seems like everybody that comes in here in net really kind of seems to take a step. And Parkala has a huge hand in that. So it's cool to see him down there and his family down there.
First Finnish coach to win the cup.
Really? Did not know that. But it was just so awesome to see, them bring out the Conn Smythe and present it to Cale. And he was actually really funny after the game. Someone asked him what it was like to win that. And even still, he was like, yeah, he pointed to it. He's like, I don't really care about this. I just want to get back out there with the boys and get a picture with the cup and, just celebrate the cup with everyone and all that stuff. But just seeing them bring all that out and seeing Landy lift the cup, it was unbelievable. I was really worried. Landy was skating right for a cable that was on the ice. I was really afraid that he wasn't going to see it. And on his immediate lap with the cup, fall and drop it, stepped over it and all that stuff. We all knew it was going to EJ second, right?
Second, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if it was going second. I had no problems with it, obviously.
I felt pretty good about EJ second. It was third that I had questions.
Mm-hmm. I was surprised. It was Cogs third, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. But I mean, what a postseason that guy had. And I don't know how much this actually got out, but they told us after the game that the team actually called a meeting the night before once team got to Tampa without informing the coaches until after. And I guess a lot of that meeting was led by Andrew Cogliano and just kind of like hey, here's what happened back home. We kind of got it out of our system. We had the one night where we were thinking about winning the cup. And it was awesome that he kind of was the one to rally everyone together. Like, no, we're getting this done tomorrow. So just incredible. So once I heard that post game, it made a little bit more sense that he maybe got it third. Cause it sounds like he played a lot bigger role in that locker room than maybe we thought. I think we all kind of looked at it as, oh, this is the veteran guy they're bringing in to be a depth guy, but he ended up being a massive part of the team on the ice. Breaks his hand. I think missed a game, comes back and he's throwing like double-fisted haymakers in his first game back. I was like, all right, he's feeling fine.
Well, that's EJ's obviously the old guy story locally, but Cogs was at like 1,150 games played without a cup.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well, dude, and so he was leaving every game, at least in Tampa, with a bag of ice taped around his hand. So his hand was just stuck in this bag of ice. So I mean, like, he was hurting. We find out after the game, Andre Burakovsky played in the Cup final with a broken ankle and couldn't finish the series because he then broke his thumb and had identical surgery to Nazem Kadri. But the morning of Game 6, he took parts of morning skate. So I mean, just like what these guys battled through. And then to hear, that they pulled that meeting and were like, no, we don't need anybody else to get involved. We are getting this done here. It was just awesome to see those guys get it. And then, you saw those shots, being down on the ice. And I was able to talk to Logan O'Connor and I asked him, how does this compare, to your national championship? And he said, this is just on another level. Winning is winning and everybody loves winning, but this is something different. He's the only one I asked a question about the game on the ice. And I just asked him, I was like, that was maybe the best period of hockey you guys have played all season that I've ever seen you guys play. What was kind of said, and paraphrasing here, obviously, but, it was basically, he kind of brought up the meeting. Like, we understood what we had to do. You wouldn't believe how many guys referred to Game 5 of round 2. After the game on Sunday. Cale Makar referred to it as the turning point in the postseason.
You knew it was going to be a seminal moment when they responded in Game 6, and they were going to be able to build off of that moving forward.
Yeah. Well, and Makar specifically referred to the Josh Manson block in the crease as he said I was sitting on the bench and I said, that's the moment. That is the moment. We aren't like, and he basically said, like, we can't lose. Like, we can't lose now after that. And that's going to be what propels us. And, so O'Connor mentioned that, Makar mentioned that, Bednar mentioned that, that game. And O'Connor just said basically the same thing where he's like, look, we took that experience in that game. We understood what we did and what we didn't do in Game 5. And we understood that, like, we got to this third period where we had an opportunity to close it out. And so we just said, we're closing this out. Like, we're getting this done. And, it was honestly, it was an unbelievable, performance from the Avs, that you can kind of forget because of the emotion and everything that comes after the win. But that was unbelievable. And then, I didn't get a chance to talk to Arturi Lehkonen, but who's Justin Barron? You know what I mean? Like, but the goal. No, I know, and like, it's tough because I mean, Justin Barron, I think we were all very high on. I think he's going to be a great NHLer, but Lehkonen scores the goal to send the Avs to the Stanley Cup Final, and then gets the cup clinching goal. Nathan McKinnon put it best after the Edmonton series. You'd trade 10 first-round picks for that guy right now, and who cares?
It's always worth if you win the cup, man, because if you're Florida right now, you're big mad. But if you're Colorado, you're like, Worth, it's the greatest deadline ever.
So I wanna talk about exactly that, and then not caring about him. And I want to start with you, Megan, because I was telling you before, I was sitting there after, as this series is going on, I said, I'm going to do a Darcy piece at some point during this, because I know he struggled, and I'm sure there's going to be people in the chat right now who are going to get all weird, but I thought his best games were 5 and 6. I thought when the stakes got to the point where they were the highest, he elevated his game in the way that they needed. You don't love the Jan Ruda goal. Jared Bednar acknowledged that. And I really don't love the Stamkos goal in Game 6. But like Game 6, he gives that one up. and he responds. And like I said, Megan, you did write the Darcy piece. So I wanted to get your perspective on, the playoff that we saw from him in general, and then his final series, how it actually unfolded, how you guys saw it different from how I saw it or from your own angle.
I obviously have a lot of thoughts about it. I think bigger picture, looking at the postseason in its totality, I think his performance fell below people's expectations, but I don't know if we set expectations in a reasonable place, especially given things that happen in the playoffs that are just beyond control with injury. And then the other thing is, I just look at teams in the post-cap era and how they're built, and very few are built around elite goaltending and then also getting elite talent in other areas. It's very hard to have Vasilevsky level goaltending and Cale Makar, Devon Toews, and a top line that has McKinnon and Rantanen, and or it's been blended, but the Lek and it, like, to even have the top six as talented as it is, there's very few teams built that way except for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and that's why both these teams end up in the Stanley Cup Final. And so you look at the final statistics, and AJ pointed it out that Kuemper was on a level very similar to Vasilevsky. And I think it's a fair point. I think Avs fans have been burned with goaltenders in the past. Someone said that they have PTSD, and you're never going to get Patrick Roy in net again. But what Darcy did in the regular season, and then even in the postseason, I would say was above satisfactory, especially in the games where it really mattered, like 5 and 6. I even look at that Rudo goal, and I'm like, that was a 95-mile-per-hour slap shot. Like, I think we just are holding this goaltender to an impossible standard. And I would say his performance was good. We don't have to get carried away or avoid any sort of criticisms altogether. But I think Darcy Kuemper had a fine postseason, a good postseason. It ended with a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
So
if he has a 9-10 postseason, that just means he gives up one fewer goal along the way. Do you feel that differently about it?
Right.
Like, and I mentioned this the other day when we were in studio, that we use save percentage the same way that we use Corsi. It's meant to be used over a long period of time. And save percentage is like shooting percentage, that when you look at them in smaller samples, you look at them across 6 games, you can get all kinds of results.
Yeah.
Their goalies are just like other players. They have good and bad games. And when it comes to goalie evaluation, we get too myopic with how we blame a goaltender, and only a goaltender, or we don't blame a goaltender for any of it, right? And, what can he do in this situation? What do you want him to, like, oh, poor helpless him. But in reality, it's like he's just like the guys that are in front of him. He needs to pick up his play a little bit. But then you look at the other end. You look at Vasilevsky's numbers. Did Vasi play poorly? No, but you look at the goal that he gives up in Game 5, the first goal. It's a puck that bounces out of his glove, falls down to his right, and Nichushkin just goes, "Thank you," and taps that thing in. It's not that Darcy Kuemper needed to be a 920 goaltender. He needed to be better than the other guy at the other end, and he got them to that point. He just needed to be better than that guy, and he was. And if you go and you look and I'm not counting Jordan Binnington in this, statistically, the best goaltender that the Avalanche faced was Connor Ingram.
Well, but the thing is, look at the games that Darcy lost to. He lost 4 games in this entire playoff run, and the opposing goaltender save percentage in those games, the first one in St. Louis with Binnington, a 968 is what it took to beat him. You do have the one St. Louis game where they fell apart that it didn't take.
They
as a team fell apart.
Yeah.
And then the 2 losses to Tampa, Vasi posts a 946 and a 949 in those games. Like, it literally takes all world goaltending to beat Darcy Kuemper and the Avs.
Right. Well, and you go back to Game 6, and Megan, I think you were just saying,
I'm a Lightning fan in chat.
You get to you get to 1-1, right? Halfway through the game, it's 1-1. And with the way that both teams were playing, it's like, all right, well, which goalie is going to make the next mistake? Who's going to give up the goal? And it was Vasilevsky and Darcy Kuemper. I mean, the Avs, that was an all-world third period. Elite, clinical, pick an adjective. That was it.
You know what? Vasilevsky was awesome in that third period. He made a couple of that big toe save that he made on Nichushkin, kept them in it. Kept them in that game. And I think that was the thing about that period that I was getting a little annoyed with. And now that it's over and now that it's done, we know how it ends. It's all good, baby. But I was getting pissed because I was like, Vasi is keeping these assholes in this. These guys are getting run through and they don't deserve to be in this game anymore. And it was very frustrating, but it was also great to be like, this is why Vasi is exceptional, and it still wasn't good enough.
Right. Well, and look, it's like you go back to that third period, and the only look the Avs gave up of any quality was to Nikita Kucherov on a 2-on-1, and Darcy makes a phenomenal save where he just swallows that puck up, no rebound, nothing, just shuts the entire play down. And we've talked about this throughout the season on this show, where you can tell when Darcy is locked in, when he's not busy and pucks are dying right near him and he's not giving up rebounds. And when I saw that stop, I was like, oh man, it's going to take, if you can get to the net, it's going to take something exceptional to beat him right now. Because,
maybe that 2-on-1 with Corey Perry that Kucherov put wide, but that's the thing. They got 2 scoring opportunities in the third. They missed one of them, and Darcy stopped the other. That's it. That's all you needed.
Yeah.
That's all you needed.
It was awesome, and I was super happy for him. I was really happy for him down on the ice. Just a giant smile on his face for the full 2 hours that you're out there and all that stuff. And I really did. This is a tough market to play goalie in. It doesn't quite get enough, people don't talk about that. They talk about Philly being a hard market and stuff like that. But Avs fans were kind of forged by Patrick Waugh.
Yeah.
And Megan, like you said, you're not going to get Patrick Waugh in net again. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And I think that's people's standards sometimes. Well, you have to play like Patrick Waugh did in game 6 of the Cup Final every night, or you're trash. Look, there were nights where Darcy struggled. He didn't have a stellar postseason. Like you said, let's not get carried away. But I thought for most of the games that he was in, he was good. He was good enough, and he made the next save when his counterpart didn't.
In every series he played in, he was better than the guy on the other end.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm still salty a little bit about that Blues series, where just watching St. Louis score half the goals that they scored in that series off an Avalanche stick, where it did some dumb shit along the way, and those people want to talk about the Avs getting lucky and getting a free cup or whatever. Are you fucking for real with this right now?
All right.
Yeah.
I appreciate all the reminiscing. I have a feeling we're going to do more of it on Thursday. So I am going to move us along here.
It's parade day, so we're going to have to talk about it again. But I do also want to look at the postseason as a larger picture.
Yeah,
so
we can definitely
pay our bills and let's get us there.
Go to foco.com to get all of your Avalanche championship merch. They have bobbleheads of everyone. I have to say, they did a great job on all of them except for Cale Makar. Makar's looks really weird, but the rest of them look excellent.
Are they the bobbles?
The
I
bobbleheads.
think Nathan McKinnon's hair looks really dark, but it looks a lot like him facially.
It's a little dark, but it's like Nathan McKinnon. I think Mikko's looks excellent. Gabe's is very good too, as is Kadri's. So go check out all their bobbleheads. They also have other.
Eric is buying all of those, right? So we can just have them for the set.
That's my assumption.
Cool.
I almost got one a couple nights ago before I knew that we had like any type of partnership with them. So now I gotta try to get my hands on a few.
There you go. So go check it out. They also have like ornaments for your Christmas tree, mini Stanley Cup paperweight type things if you want that. They have some masks, other stuff as well. Go check out FOCO today for all of your Stanley Cup champion Avalanche merch. And we're also, of course, brought to you by Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR. They're amazing. They've been with us for so long. They make amazing beers. Highly recommend you go get yourself some at your local liquor store. Yeah, it's going to be a blast. Go find a Breck Brew. If you've never been to the farmhouse, you got to get down there. It's an amazing venue. They hold events down there pretty regularly. So go check out what they're doing because it's just a great place to go, especially during the summer when there's no hockey and you need stuff to do. So go check out Breck Brew. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Jesse?
Before we get into the rest of the playoffs, I just wanted to ask you guys a question on Darcy.
Yeah.
So I was saying to our good buddy, JJ Jerez, after the game, yeah, the man, dude. I was like, man, if you're the Avs, that playoff run maybe couldn't have gone better in terms of Darcy Kuemper because he had his ups and downs and you still won. So now if you do want to keep him here, I don't think it's crazy expensive. And if he walks, you're like, yeah, he was good. He wasn't like, I don't think that could have gone better for them. Like he was good enough. They won the cup with him, but like you can probably bring him back for something a little slight raise on what he's currently at.
So what was the question?
Do you guys think one, should they bring him back? And two, do you kind of agree with that was kind of best case scenario in terms of how it played out in terms of keeping him?
In terms of keeping his price down and all? Yeah, probably. That kind of run probably provided you the best chance to keep him on a contract that you really don't have a problem with. Would I keep him? I'm still deciding.
Having seen the
Leaning
USA
towards
market,
yes.
I would lean pretty heavily towards yes.
I would lean towards yes, but I haven't put together an entire offseason plan of what I would personally do and started to work through all the numbers and stuff. So I'm still, give me a TBD. And by the time that we actually when we start really digging into the offseason stuff next week, I'll have a better answer for you, but leaning towards yes.
More time for Meghan to sharpen her knives.
I'm leaning towards yes, too. I remember in the regular season, at least, there are other teams who have a very big goalie problem. And I remember seeing other fan bases before Frankie signed his contract extension talking about giving him a chance as a starter and wanting that for their organization. And that gives me a feel for what the market must look like. And I would not want to chance losing out on Kuemper as starter, especially if the price is right, just given what options might also be available. It might be kind of chancing it. So I'd lean towards yes, definitely.
Yeah.
We got to witness in these playoffs directly what happened to the team that missed out on Darcy Kuemper. They lost to the Avs.
Yeah.
Quickly.
I know Francouz was in net for the Avs in that, but
still the point stands. Yeah.
Darcy Kuemper. Yeah.
I think the point is only enhanced by Pavel Francouz swept Mike Smith.
Yeah. So you understand like where Darcy Kuemper is at somewhere in that hierarchy. It's above other teams that were in the conference finals.
Yeah.
I think
you make a good point about the Francouz thing.
So
go ahead, AJ. Sorry.
Of the free agents, the only one that I would be really intrigued by was Ville Husso.
Mm-hmm. And even then, you're probably doing like a 1A, 1B with him and Frankie, right?
I don't know. Again, I don't.
Topic
I don't
for a
have
different day for sure. Yeah. For
I
today,
I thought the postseason played out. If you're wanting to keep Darcy at something reasonable, I thought it couldn't have played out better.
I agree with that for sure. But for today, the topic is not who was the best player in the cup
50
run,
minutes in.
Not who was the worst player, not who was the most surprising Av during this cup run. Who did the most to change your mind about who they are as a player? Meghan, I'm putting you on the spot first here.
This one probably isn't the most unusual answer, but I feel like Bowen Byram, because of the year that he had and the uncertainty surrounding some of his
Great
injury
answer.
and
Jesse,
what he was
go
able
first.
to do in the postseason. It was, I don't know that there was an expectation for him to exceed because everyone just wanted him to be healthy above everything else. But he really was phenomenal in the playoffs, and especially for such a young player. It was a beautiful storyline to emerge for him.
He was fantastic.
Well, and I think in the light of the Sam Girard injury,
Yeah.
because what they got out of Bowen Byram in the first round, if Byram and EJ is your third pair, you're like, this is incredible. Are you serious? And then when G goes down and that pairing has to get elevated, that's now your second pairing. How many third pairings are there in the NHL that would have been able to just be like, well, let's do this? And let's be honest here, as good as Eric Johnson was this postseason, why was that group able to elevate? Why were they able to almost seamlessly survive the Sam Girard injury? It's because Bowen Byram was awesome.
We talked about it during, like, while it was happening, but when it really hit me was the Rangers series. Watching the Rangers play Tampa Bay and watching Braden Schneider just get smoked.
Braden Schneider and Keandre Miller, guys
Yeah.
who are of similar age to Bowen Byram, just getting bodied. And then you watch Byram against the same exact Tampa Bay Lightning, and you see the work that he put in against them, the way that he controlled play, the way that he suppressed the Lightning offense. Those guys didn't do shit against him.
He led the defense in 5-on-5 minutes in the Cup Final.
Yeah,
In
and
Game 5.
he had a 30-shot advantage with him on the ice at 5v5. 30 actual shots on goal in his advantage. He was dominant. He whooped that ass. He was awesome.
What were you saying, Megan? Game 5?
Oh, there were a few positives in Game 5, but I remembered Byram was actually one of the positives. He had a great game.
Well, and what? He hits 2 or 3 posts in the final.
Yeah.
Like his stat line could have even been more ridiculous, and like big goals too. Like he almost scored the OT winner before Kadri did.
I feel like we were talking about Byram like that all playoffs. In the first 2 rounds, I was like, that dude should have 4 more assists, and people are just shanking his passes. He played so well, and his stat lines don't necessarily reflect truly how good it was.
And then a great pass to set up Nate in Game 6 to get them on the board.
Great pass to set up Kadri's second goal in St. Louis in Game 4. Right after they failed to score on the 5-on-3, literally as both guys are coming out of the box, he's the one that makes the centering pass. Because that's the goal that really was like, you guys aren't doing shit in this game.
Yeah, no, great point. Great point.
It's you look all over the place. Bowen Byram making a play. Bowen Byram making a play. He was awesome. His coming out part, I mean, he was never going to compete for the Calder because he wasn't going to be able to get the power play time and all that to chase down Mo Seider. But right now, if you would unequivocally take Mo Seider over Bowen Byram moving forward, I would struggle with that. Because what Bowen Byram did in a big role, now it wasn't the top dog role, but a big role on the Cup champion Avalanche team.
Yeah.
It's a lot better than what Mo Seider did and he had an awesome regular season. I love that guy. But I don't know that I would take him over Bowen Byram right now after what we just saw out of that postseason run.
100%.
Right. Byram off the board. Who's next? Who's going next?
Jesse, I'll defer.
So I think there's a lot of people you could point to, and there's a lot of different kind of like Jared Bednar said that he thought that Val Nichushkin's elevating of his play had like the biggest impact. So I think there's a lot but like for me, man, the one that surprised me more than anybody else by how good he was for the whole run was Darren Hell. I thought that whole bottom 6.
Can we combine Darren Helm, Andrew Cogliano, and Logan O'Connor?
Fourth line is one.
Because I hate to split them up because they each had 1 or 2 moments along the run where you're like, they don't win that game without that guy making that play at that time. And they were so They were so sick that they all did it together, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Well,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no, and there was even a game where, what game was it? Game 1 or game 2 of the final, where Bednar, because of the injuries, he actually just elevated that line as a whole to the third line, and then just like kind of patched in around it. But like, that's how good that line was. He was like, yeah, we can split up everything else. I cannot split up what these guys are doing. And yeah, that fourth line was just so huge for them. And Jared Bednar said it so many times. We're going to need everybody if we're going to get to where we want to go. And I thought that fourth line, if you even want to call it that, just represented that more than any other grouping. They were so good. They were so key. I don't think they win this cup without that line doing what they did. In some big moments, you know what I mean? It wasn't like there was like, oh, they were out there and they held their own and they ground them down till the top guys can get back out. So like, no, they contributed. They made plays. All three of those guys were massive on the penalty kill. And seriously, like going into these playoffs, to me, Darren Helm was the scratch. I was like, yep, that's the guy you put in the press box till you need him. And by the end of it, I mean, I wouldn't have put that guy anywhere near the press box.
Darren O'Cogliano is it. That's the one. That's the one.
It was great, man. That whole fourth line, I thought had such a huge impact on this team in the run. That they definitely deserve some love.
Fun. Game-winning goals. Cogliano ends up with 2 of them, although both game-winning goals are in games where the Avs scored a ton of goals.
Is that line the Holy Trinity?
No,
Darren
but I
Helm
think
is the father. Logan O'Connor's the son. Is Cogliano the Holy Spirit?
The Holy Spirit.
I guess.
Well, so there is another version that's the Holy Ghost, and I guess you could say that because he like didn't do much in the regular season, and then just like went off in the playoffs.
There you go.
Which I feel like that is a little like blasphemous, though.
Oh, definitely, definitely, very blasphemous.
I do wonder if Andrew Cogliano replaces Dan Hinote in like Avalanche fan lore.
As that guy.
Yeah, as the guy where you're like, I want that guy in the playoffs. Give me that guy. That's the guy we're after. Where could we go get that guy every single playoff run?
Dude,
we were missing that guy this year.
I know we talked about it earlier, and but like, I mean, like seriously, I kind of saw that as a throwaway depth pick up at the deadline, but he ended up playing a big role in their success. And again, not to rehash all of it, but he was, I guess it was the speech he gave the night before Game 6 that everyone was like, okay, we're doing this. And just to be able to step into a room with that kind of leadership already in place and establish yourself as a respected voice that quickly, like, I wouldn't be surprised if that becomes something that they, maybe not at the top of the priority list, but that they prioritize bringing back because he had an impact on the room.
Is anybody going to be surprised when 10 years from now, Andrew Cogliano is either a head coach, a GM, or on television?
I'll be shocked if he's not behind a bench somewhere.
Yeah. He seems like tailor-made for one of those like smart hockey player roles.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just see the way he plays the game. It's just like, oh, this guy gets this.
Right,
he understands everything going on.
All right. AJ?
I think for me, it's Josh Manson. I think people who have read me gush about him in the takeaways all postseason are not going to be surprised by that answer. But honestly, I think that it wasn't even Josh Manson that I was expecting to show up in Colorado. I was really amped on the move. I thought he was going to be a great fit, but not even in my wildest imagination did I think that Josh Manson was going to look like this, because this was Josh Manson like unleashed. We got to see a dynamic element come out of his game, and there were overtime of Game 4. Rudo and I on the watch along are like, what has gotten into Josh Manson after 3 periods? It was like Josh Manson had just snorted all the cocaine in the world and was running on the greatest high of all time. He was everywhere. He was awesome in that overtime. And there were moments like they trade for Josh Manson and you're like, "Oh, Josh Manson's he's going to be his physical presence and he's not going to do a lot with the puck." You're worried about it being a little like a more expensive Patrick Nemeth, from the previous year. Like that was the downside. I was getting regular tweets and DMs from angry Avalanche fans during the regular season about Josh Manson. I didn't get a single one during the playoffs. Not even after that disastrous game 1 against Edmonton did I get anything remotely critical of Josh Manson. And he just looked totally reborn in Colorado. He looked like a guy that was having fun playing hockey, getting to do things that he'd never gotten to do with the puck. And it wasn't like he was these crazy high-end offensive plays, but then you see like go and look at the 2-on-1 that he starts with Cogliano in game 2 to get them out and to get them that second goal. You see he scores the game-winning goal in game 1 against St. Louis, and it's not just a prayer that he floats on net that goes well. He outweights the shooting lane, waits for all those guys to get out of his way, finds the shooting lane, puts the puck in a spot. Jordan Binnington still hasn't seen that puck. And you look at some of the offensive things that he did. You look at
starts the 3-on-2 for the cup-winning goal.
Well, he starts that 3-on-2. Game 6, the first Colorado goal where JT Compher scores against St. Louis. He makes that little dipsy-do move outside, gets the Blues player to bite, turns back around, spins into space, and puts it on net. That creates the rebound that Compher scores. All of these are like little offensive plays that you didn't see a guy like Jack Johnson make because those guys don't try those things. Right. Those guys they stop at the blue line. If they get the puck, they either pass it to their partner, they rim it, or they just throw it on net and get rid of it. Just get rid of it. Just get rid of it. And what you saw was a creative element from Josh Manson and the two-way play that he ended up having in Colorado, especially in the wake of Girard's injury. It wasn't just Bo and Byram, but because Josh Manson brought a little bit of offense, because EJ brought a little bit of offense, they were able to survive without Sam Girard because of the aggregate. Those 3 guys chipped in enough offense. And so I was blown away by how just all around rock solid Manson was. I'd love to keep him in the offseason. I think that the defenseman market is going to be really weak and somebody's probably going to do something irresponsible for him. I'd love to get him on a contract like that David Savard deal, 4 years at about $3.5 million. I would love that. I don't know if that's going to be possible or not. Because I think, again, the free agent market on the back end is so bad that a team like St. Louis is going to be like, give that guy $5 million. And that's, he should take that.
The one guy that is my honorary mention.
It's fine. I'll take him.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No. Go.
I mean, I was just going to reiterate Lehkonen.
No, that was not my guy. Okay. But yeah, keep going.
With Lehkonen, like when they got him, they were like, all right, this is a third line type guy who can play super strong defense for you. Maybe has a little bit of clutch in him. By the end of the playoffs, he has 14 points in 20 games with 8 goals. Obviously, the clutch is there, but also he spent the entire playoffs in your top 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're going into next year saying Lehkonen's our second line winger at this point. Like,
him and Nate really clicked too.
Also true. Yeah.
No, my honorary mention.
I think McKinnon and Lehkonen clicked more on a human level than they did on a hockey level.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Those dudes on a line together look like sandpaper and bare ass. They did not go together at all. But as homies, like Nate finally found a friend.
Yeah.
Like the weirdest part of this is that, Peter Forsberg only liked one person in his Avalanche tenure, and it was Adam Deadmarsh. Does Nathan McKinnon finally have his one friend since Tyson Barrie left? Is it Arturi Lehkonen's job to be McKinnon's token friend?
That's what it looked like. They really seemed to hit it off, but
They really did.
So my honorary mention, and people are gonna laugh, but like, dude, Eric Johnson, man, the way that he elevated his play, for my money, the last 2 months was the best hockey we've seen Eric Johnson play since he got to Denver. I thought he was outstanding.
2 great rounds of hockey, and then 2 that were good enough.
Yeah, no, I mean he
started to run out of gas at the end.
For sure, he definitely did. But I thought he was so good. He tells us on the ice after the game, and he ended up, talking to a couple of different people about this. He almost retired last summer dealing with his injury stuff, saying, I don't even know if I can play. I don't know if I can get myself back into it. I don't know if I can get through a full season. He gets through the full season. He plays some of the best hockey we've ever seen him play in the postseason. He gets his name on the cup, and now we'll see what he does for next year. We'll see what the Avs do with him next year. But I'm not expecting him to look like he did in rounds 1 and 2 all of next season if he's back. But I also don't think he's expecting that of himself. And he told us, like, you don't know how many chances you get at a Stanley Cup. The fact that we feel like we've got a real shot here, like, I'm leaving everything out here. And I thought his play reflected. I thought he was really, really good.
Okay. Are we all good? Should we get to the super chats?
Yes.
All right. Let's do these quickly. Is Yahir's computer functioning? It is. 279 from Jake saying, "These guys again, eh?" I don't even know what that means, but thanks.
It's us.
Can't get rid of a sucker.
At the beginning of the pod, like, these guys.
Yeah.
Oh my God! They just won the Stanley Cup. Can we get rid of these assholes already?
No.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sucky. Stuck with us.
$5 from Avs for the win. Been pondering, how mad do you think Tyson Jost is with the team for several years, only to be traded right before the championship run? Ouch.
Don't think he is.
Yeah, I don't think he's mad at all.
If you've ever met Tyson Jost, you know he's not that kind of guy.
And I was also told that was a trade that was multiple seasons in the making that people just didn't know.
So,
I mean, he wanted opportunity.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
100%.
Ended up playing like 10 minutes a night in Minnesota, but now it's a different conversation. Pin King with $5 says, "Hey AJ, which Tampa Bay landmark did the Avs steal this time?"
The Stanley Cup, the only thing we're taking out of Tampa Bay.
Yo, the Tesla coils were pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, but I don't have any use for that shit.
They were sick.
$5 from Will saying, "Makar Byram will become the next Keith Seabrook." Maybe.
I don't think so. I think Makar and Byram are both going to end up in the Hall of Fame, and I don't think Brent Seabrook will.
Ooh, there you go.
You're probably right. I mean, Seabrook definitely won't, but $10 from Heretic says, "Yo, boys, first chance to be live since the win. Been lots of tears this year. So glad the Avs gave us a reason to apologetically cry together. Enjoy." I'm assuming that's unapologetically. Thanks for all years. Love you. Yeah. Much love to everybody.
It's awesome.
$20 from Andrew saying, "Didn't get to say until today, but appreciate the content and passion. Coming here to listen about hockey / the Avs is priceless. Flying in for the parade." Thanks.
So I want to mention something. So I was lucky enough to chat with Elliot Friedman a couple times throughout the final. And one of the things he said, "What I love about Colorado media is you can tell that you guys are all very passionate about covering the team." And so I'm glad that shows through. It's we put a lot of passion and emotion into this, and I'm glad people get to experience that with us.
Yep.
Yes, Kevin, I do have a use for the St. Louis Arch, and it's keeping it out of St. Louis.
And then an insane $100 from John saying, "Missed the post game on Sunday. Thanks for everything. Congrats to you guys. Bummed I'll miss the parade. Will there be DNVR parade content?" Oh, yes. Oh,
we
yes.
had an hour-long meeting about that before this show.
It's going to be a lot of DNVR parade content. $2 from Miss Truly popping in late. Just hi. Hope everyone is fairly recovered. So nothing's like super solid on the parade. We can't like give you guys a come show up and do this. but we're definitely planning on a lot of content. We're going to have a podcast after the parade is done. We'll be talking about all sorts of stuff. So there'll be a lot of stuff out there on Thursday.
Well,
Yeah.
And the other reason that we aren't going to like say this is what we're doing is because as RG, our great video content person pointed out, we have no idea what the service situation will be like downtown. I think it was game 1 of the final. I was talking to the Avs social media people after. They were like, if you go to the Avs account right now, there is nothing up on Twitter because we can't get anything to go out. They were like, can't get videos of the goal. And that was for game 1 of the final. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like tomorrow. So there will be content, but
Yeah, and there will be a group of DNVR people at the parade if you want to stop by, say hi, and hang out with them and stuff. I think they're going to be firing off information about where they end up setting up shop. And a lot of it right now is just really fluid. We don't have solid answers. We just kind of have like, all right, well, this group of people will be here, and this group of people will be there, and this group of people will be there, and I'll be at home. I'll be sitting right here, hanging out.
Okay. On that note, we're going to wrap up the show. We are off tomorrow because, God, we need a day off. We will be back on Thursday with all the parade show stuff. We'll be live Friday, so be sure to tune in on those ones. We love all y'all so much. We hope to see you in the next one. Until then, we will talk to you later.